All right, cool. So you should have I mean, assuming that you can see it, there should be a little recording thing coming up here or whatever. So yeah, hopefully that will imply that I am recording right now. So today we're going to be doing HTML. My goal with this 10-week or 9-week workshop is to basically uh, give you a solid foundation to web development. And the best way that you can get started with web development is starting from the very, very bottom and the source code that you see in every single website, such as HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Nowadays, it's going more advanced as technology gets more advanced day by day. I know that a very popular framework such as Node.js, Django, those are required skills, not required skills, but like recommended skills if you want to get an internship or if you want to, or you want to get a very good job right out of college. So, but in order to understand those frameworks or to understand those advanced technologies, you need a solid foundation, and that foundation starts with that introductory web development. So what I'm going to plan to do with this course is start off with HTML, then I'm going to move on to CSS, then JavaScript, and then after I cover those three languages, I'm going to spend one workshop creating a project with you guys that is basically a resume, or not necessarily a resume, like a portfolio, and it's going to have like a gallery sort of framework. So it's going to be like a gallery, and you can display all your accomplishments, such as your grades and your internships or whatever. Basically, a gallery or a website that shows off your accomplishments. That's my goal, trying to go into like the 5th week, and then the final 4 weeks we're going to be working with. I'm still working on those last 4 weeks, but hopefully it's going to be something along the lines of potentially using Python for web development, maybe creating an e-commerce website, or using databases or PHP and jQuery. But today's lesson is going to be on HTML. So what is HTML? HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and was created by a physicist that you might have heard, you may have not have heard, Tim Berners-Lee, who is best known for creating the World Wide Web. So you guys all know what the World Wide Web is. Tim Berners-Lee created it. Yeah, let me see this. I have to ask the other instructor on what the other the other web development workshop covers. The introduction to the course is actually relatively the same, actually. So like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is going to all be the same, but like it's what happens afterwards that we might differ on. So I think he's going to be doing Node.js. I might be focusing on maybe some database languages, jQuery or PHP, stuff like that. That is something that you're gonna have to see at the Discord. Hopefully, it shouldn't be like too different. Whatever workshop you end up choosing, hopefully you'll learn something that will be beneficial to your professional life. But anyways, so we utilize this HTML language to construct and design text, paragraphs, sections, headings, links, block quotes, and whatever to create ultimately web pages and applications. So before I start coding in HTML, I want to emphasize that HTML is not necessarily a programming language. HTML is actually a scripting language because it lacks dynamic functionality, or how like with programming languages such as Java, you can do like different algorithms and like have different types of outputs and stuff like that, very advanced applications. HTML is sort of like a front end development thing. It's like a design thing. It's not really for developing algorithms. It's developing scriptures or developing text or putting something out there, basically getting an output out there. So, but if you're wondering, but if HTML is not like a programming language, then why should we study HTML? By learning HTML, you're basically learning the mechanics of one small piece of a much larger system. Realistically, the more that you're able to conceptualize and understand HTML, the easier it is to learn other web development languages, since they stem, across HTML. You're going to notice that every website pretty much uses HTML. Even though it might be minimally, it still uses it as the rudimentary framework. And as web pages and applications have become more advanced day by day or year by year, HTML is still a central component of web development, and it utilizes other scripting languages in order to create them. we can easily integrate HTML with both PHP and Node.js, which are backend languages, which is like, stuff that you don't see on a normal web page. So what you see on a web page is what you see, but what is actually happening on the back? So you still need HTML, even though HTML is more for front end, you still need HTML to get some of that back end development going. And that allows us ultimately to design executable programs. So to just wrap it all up with regarding what is HTML, it is the most fundamental framework of the web. And it has now become, it is now being run on every single browser, and we combine it with other scripting languages to create executable websites and web applications. So I'm gonna start sharing my screen, and hopefully we can get started with HTML. All right. Okay, so you can most likely see my desktop. I know that it's messy as hell right now because whatever, I have a lot of stuff on there. But I'm gonna go on to example.com. Actually, I'm gonna use Chrome. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go to example.com. And if you notice with an example with the website example.com, it's pretty simple. And the sole purpose of example.com is just to show, like, just a website. And then let's look at it from a backend perspective as well. So example.com has, an example domain heading. It also has this type of paragraph here that's displaying some type of text. It has this link, and we know that's a link because it's in that blue text form. And, if we open this in a new tab, it does open up to a new link. Whatever this link is, that's not the point. It does open to a link, and there most likely is some styling input that allows the website to look like this rather than some like Word document. There's some type of, styling that allows it to look like this rather than some type of document that looks very boring to look at. So let's look at the code. So I do a right click or what is it? A double click with both fingers on my mouse pad. And then I go to view page source. You could also use inspect. It's pretty much the same thing. I'm just going to go on to view page source. And in view page source, you're presented with a bunch of code. And this code is basically what we're going to be covering. You're going to be able to understand this easily in the next 1 to 2 lessons. Sorry, next 1 to 2 workshops. Anyway, as you can see, there's some type of tag here, and it's HTML. So I'm guessing that if it says HTML, there most likely is HTML code after it, which it is, by the way. And if I notice here, there's usually a tag. Whenever there's one tag, there's always a corresponding end tag as well. And that's a very important concept in HTML. Most tags, and I mean most because not all tags have this, most tags will always have an end tag because you're enclosing text or you're enclosing code. You're enclosing something within it that allows us to get some type of output. So in this case, within the HTML tags, we're enclosing HTML code. Similarly with the title, example domain, it is enclosing the domain name or the web page name. So a title would be the title over here, not the title over here. It will be the title over here. So then we have some random pieces of, metadata. That's basically just to style it. It's nothing too important, nothing too fancy. It's just some type of way to get like, character sets in there, stuff like that. Nothing to worry about. Then we have this like weird sort of thing in the middle that is really off from the rest of the HTML code. And this is CSS code, something that you're going to understand in the next workshop. However, if you look at the CSS code, you can kind of make out what it's actually doing. So we have body, so it's editing some type of body. And in that body, we're adjusting the background color, we're adjusting the margins, the padding, the fonts and stuff like that. Then we have this div one. We don't really know what div is, but we know that the width, margin, padding, and all that jazz is being edited through this CSS code. And then we also have example domain, which is most likely the header over here, then some paragraph or some text. And that text is being displayed over here, right under the H1 tag. So I'm guessing that HTML goes from top to bottom, meaning H1 gets first displayed, then the paragraph one. And then we have a link here, and that is encompassing 2 tags. So I'm guessing that the more information one is also a paragraph or some type of text that is being displayed. And then this other A looking tab is allowing us to actually link it to another website. And that link to that other website is here. And then for every one of these tags, we see that we have these corresponding end tags. So this was sort of like a, just a brief look at what HTML might look like all together in like a website looking thing or example.com. So now let's actually build web pages with HTML. So I'm going to close out here, and I'm going to keep this open actually. Alrighty. So I'm going to go into the brackets application. And this is the brackets application. Hopefully it's not going to go here. But anyway, I'm going to edit this here. And then I'm going to close this because it's kind of bothering me. So let's go here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new file. And I'm going to immediately save it. And the reason why I want to save it is because when we save it, we need to make sure that we label it as an HTML file. Otherwise, the compiler, what I mean by the compiler is that the compiler is not going to understand whether or not what programming language to interpret it in if it doesn't know or it's not given the programming language. If you've probably taken like a comp sci class, an introductory comp sci class that uses Java, you use an IDE that explicitly says, hey, we're doing Java right now, and then interprets that Java into some type of output. The same thing applies to here too. You need to tell the compiler that it's an HTML file and not any other file. So I'm going to name it first lesson, I don't know, first workshop. And I'm going to name it .html. Now I'm going to go to my desktop and save this so it's easier. So I'm going to create a new folder in my desktop, and I'm going to do web dev workshop. Create. And then I'm going to put that inside the web dev workshop. And then that's going to basically become my package in a sense. Any file that I have that I want to work with inside this website, such as adding images, I have to input that image in that folder. I don't want to put it in like some other directory in my computer and then struggle to find it later. So the reason why we have a folder created is so that everything is organized. We have everything that is necessary for the website all in one folder or one environment. So the first thing I want to do is, well, if you notice from the other the example domain website, is it started off with HTML tags, and there's 2 HTML tags that we need to start off with. One is a doc type. So the doc type will be !doc type HTML. And all this does is that it tells, now we use .html to tell the compiler that we're using a HTML file, but we also got to tell the browser what type of file or what type of code that we're putting into the Chrome browser. So that is our way of telling the compiler that, hey, we're using HTML within this web page, and I want you to interpret this website in terms of HTML and not any other language that you potentially could interpret it in. So I'm going to view the page source again. And as you can see, it also includes that doc type. I did put an exclamation points. I don't think it matters too much, but there is that. Alrighty, so the next tag is the HTML tag. HTML tag. And now the thing I like about brackets is that it has an automatic end tag generator. So when I have an HTML tag, it immediately spits out the end tag for me. And that is very useful because some tags might not even have an end tag. And then when you put it again, it might do something weird with the compiler. Not necessarily something weird with the compiler, it might mess up your web page. So it does that automatically for me so that even if I do forget an end tag, potentially could, it will warn me and then display it in red. Alrighty, so now we have to structure our web page. Now there's 2 types to our web page that we need to structure. So there's the actual body of the web page. So anything that's displayed from here, this corner, all the way to this corner. That is considered the body. And maybe, you know, if you have like maybe a header here or a menu, that could be its own separate section. That is really up to the interpretation of the web developer themselves. But they can use, this is pretty much considered the body, and then anything else is considered the head, and except the footer if you're gonna be using that for footer. But anyway, just to keep things simple, this is the body, and then this is the header. So we have two HTML tags. One is the head. Oh, there you go. And then the other one is the body. And really, realistically, these don't really do much. It's really meant for us to organize or organize or structure our web page so that we can dissect it. And if we were to pass it on to another web developer to say, they can be like, all right, let me check this part of the web page, or let me check this part of the web page. It makes the process a little bit more simpler. So most programmers will most likely have in head a body tag, but it is there for us mainly so that we can structure our web page. Now, to change this thingy, we have to put a title, and I'm going to put title. And I'm going to call it first web page. Now, I'm doing all this like random stuff right now, and you're probably wondering, all right, now where's the output? Like, where's the web page? I came here for the HTML web page. So what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to close this, and then I'm going to open the file here that I have. I'm going to open this in Chrome. I have it on default on Safari, but I'm going to use Chrome because it's a little bit more simpler. Alrighty, so we have this going for ourselves. Alrighty, I'm going to remove the sidebar as well because it's kind of bothering me. All right, there you go. Alrighty, I'm gonna make the code a little bit bigger in case you can't see it. And here you go. It's pretty much an empty web page. I mean, we haven't really done much besides change the title. As you can see, it still says first workshop.html. In order to actually see this first web page, I haven't actually saved it. So you can save it by either going to File, then Save, or you could do Command S. And then when you do that, it saves the code. And then when you access it again, it will do that respective change. So now, as you can see, instead of saying first workshop.html, it changed the title of my web page to first web page. And we could change this to literally anything, even if you want to put like an emoji there. So I'm going to put like, let's say Fauzan's web page. I'm going to save that, and then it's going to make that respective change. Command S is if you want to quickly save it from your keyboard, and File Save is if you want to save it from there. Alrighty, so now we still have an empty web page. There's literally nothing here. So one way that we can add text, just simply write text. Hello world. I know that some programmers here that have done other programming languages are probably sick of hearing this, but you know, it works. So I'm going to save that, and it prints out this. So then if we can print out stuff like this easily, then why don't we just use this? Well, the reason why is because, well, it's not very efficient. It's not very powerful at all. You're simply just getting text there. It's no different from, let's say, a Word document or a PDF writer. It just, all it does is displays text. But how do we structure that text? How do we design that text to make it look good? How can we manipulate that text? That is why we use tags instead of just simply blindly writing code into, blindly writing text into our HTML compiler. Alrighty. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the P paragraph tag, and this is very simple. So P, this is a paragraph tag, and this is the simplest way to get text onto your compiler. So again, hello world, and there really shouldn't be any change. Maybe there's like that little line gap. Actually, with every paragraph tag you add, it's going to start most likely on a new line. For you Java programmers out there, it's most likely a println statement. So think of it like that. So yeah, this is a paragraph tag. Now, what if I don't want paragraph tag, I want something bigger, I want something better, I want a title. Then you would, in that case, use the header tag. And there's actually a bunch of header tags, and they are different in respect to their well, their size. So you can get a big header or you can get a small header depending on what your preference is. So a type of header, what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate this and I'm going to keep the code there to show you that it executes from top to bottom. So to have the biggest header that you can, or the biggest header you can do in HTML, you put an H1 tag. H1 is, header one. And this is the biggest header you can put in HTML. And let me put header one. And let's see how header one looks like. Header one looks pretty big. I mean, it's a header after all, but maybe that's too big for us. Then we could do H2. And with H2, it gives us a smaller, maybe a less bolder, maybe the same amount of boldness. I can't really tell, but it is a much smaller header too. Maybe it's even rivaling the hello world over there. And this goes on all the way to, I think, H6. It goes up to H6, and let me put header 6. And boom. At that point, I don't really know if someone would use header 6, but it is there. And at header 7, there's really no header 7. I don't think it executes a header 7 because when you do a header 7, it I think what it does, it just resorts back to the regular text, the regular paragraph tag. So yeah, it goes to header 7 is hello world. So there's no header 7 basically. It stops from header 1 to header 6. Yeah, header 1 to header 6.
Could I ask a quick question?
Yeah, quick. Yeah, oh yeah, go ahead.
So for when you use paragraph, is that just for normal font, or is that for if we're writing a lot of words?
Really it depends. Most likely it's for both actually. It is more for design. I mean, I'm gonna show you how to edit this so that it looks better, or you can use it in different contexts. But yeah,
Okay.
you can use this for paragraphs. I know that's I think the main purpose. I think that's why it's called paragraph tag, because you use it for paragraphs.
Yeah.
But like if you want to design stuff, more people they would actually use CSS, and then CSS is a design language. It allows us to use color in it, and that CSS allows us to make a better looking text. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that does. Thank you. That helps.
Alrighty. Uh, Alrighty. So I covered header and paragraph tags. To separate between different sections, you're probably going to use a line break or a page break. So let's say if you have like a bunch of, let's say if you want to separate hello and world. Actually, this could come into answer your question a little bit, or might stem from your question a little bit. If you want to say let's separate it in the middle of a paragraph, you can do that. And then when you do that, it starts on a new line. BR is the tag to start on a new line. But say I don't want to start on a new line. I just want to make a completely different section. Then in that case, we would use the HR tag. And then these two tags, the BR tag and the HR tag, these are different in that they don't have an end tag. And the reason why they don't have an end tag is because, well, they're not enclosing anything. They're just simply inputting something onto the web page. So in this case, it is going to input a line that separates the headers from the paragraphs. And you've probably seen this on a bunch of websites that allows us to have different sections within the website itself. But these type of tags don't really enclose anything. This HR is not enclosing any text. It's not really putting anything inside it. It's simply displaying something that we all take for granted onto the web page. Now, let me remove all this. Oh yeah, this lecture will be recorded in case you want to go back. Now let's do different types of styling and different types of styling for paragraph tags. So when you think of styling, you might think of, let's say, bolding a paragraph tag, italicizing a paragraph tag, underlining it. Maybe you want to make an exponent, or you want to make a subscript if you want to use it for your chemistry class, or maybe like a strike through text to say, hey, there's something here and I just want you to delete it or like cross through it. I don't want it to be completely gone, but it's strike through. So there are those different types of what is it called, stylings in HTML. So let's conquer them one by one. So let's do bold. So bold, we would do a paragraph tag first. That is to emphasize that we're displaying text onto the compiler, and then we put our text in it. So this is some bold text. Oh, I put a period there. I'm going to save that file, and then I'm going to execute it. Obviously, this isn't some bold text, but we're going to make it right now. But yeah, this is how it looks like before we put the styling into it. Now, the styling for bold text is called strong because, strong. No, it's not strong. But anyway, you use the strong tag, and then you put the text that you want bold in between it. And make sure that you have those spaces in between it. I've emphasized this a lot in like other workshops or whatever. These spaces are important because everything the compiler takes it for granted. So if you don't include this space, then it's going to combine some bold and, well, if I add the space, remove the space here, it's going to combine some bold and text. The bold letters will be bold, but it's not going to be its own separate word. So make sure to add the space here and here, or over here and over here. Anyway, let's save that and see what do we have. We got some bold text. I don't know if you can see that. Let me make it bigger. This is some bold text. Alrighty, so now let's do some italicized text. Italicized. I believe, oh yeah, let's start with the paragraph tag, obviously. This is some italicized text. And I'm not going to save in and put it back. I'm simply just going to add EM. EM is just short for emphasized. I mean, I hope it stands for emphasized. That's what I've been thinking about for this entire time. But like, this basically emphasizes the italicized text. So anything that's enclosed within the EM tags, it will be curved or italicized. There you go. And it italicizes that text and doesn't italicize the other text because we don't include that text within the emphasize or EM tags. Next thing is going to be underline text, probably along the lines of, emphasizing it, but maybe for a different reason. So this is some, then the tag for underline text is ins, INS, INS. And then for that, you put underlined. After that, I'm going to space it and then put text. And there you go. It has some, this is some underlined text. I mean, is it truly some if it's only one word? Anyway, I'm going to move on to superscript, then subscript, and then deleted text or strike through text, as some would say. So this is some, and then for superscript, we use the SUP tag. Superscript. Text. Alrighty, and superscript, it just sort of raises it. So you might use this for, let's say, an exponent. Yeah. So if superscript is SUP, then what should subscript be? Should be sub, right? So we do the paragraph tag, and then this is some SUB subscript. Text. There you go. This is some subscript text. Finally, there's probably going to be some deleted text. I don't know if you've seen it, but if you haven't, then this will be a perfect opportunity for you to see it. Deleted text is this is some. Then we're going to have del, stands for deleted, I hope. Deleted, and then space it out, text. And there you go. That is what deleted or strike to text looks like. It just, whatever it's enclosed in, it just simply crosses the line of that respective word or phrases, assuming that you have more than one word within these del tags. And that sort of wraps up the styling aspects of our paragraph tags. Now let's move on to attributes. Any questions before we move on? I don't know if
I
you can
have
see
a
the.
quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
How do you go about putting comments in your code?
Comments. I completely forgot how to do comments, but it's something like this. Here you go. It's something like this, I believe.
No, you gotta have an exclamation mark in the
Yeah, an
right there,
exclamation
and
mark
then
and then
dash
two
dash.
dashes. I don't really use comments with HTML code, but yeah, that is how you do it, with an exclamation point and then like two dashes. And then it ends with the same thing, or just the bracket little thing over there. But yeah, that is how comments work in HTML.
Oh, okay, thank you.
It's very different, I would say, but like that's why I couldn't remember it. But yeah, there are comments. Let me see the chat. Yeah. All right. Thank you for answering that question, Danny. Alrighty.
Also,
Yeah.
sorry. So to put these tags in, we could just type them out, right?
Yeah, you can type them out. If you have like VS Code, I don't know what VS Code does, but with brackets, it just automatically makes the end tag for me. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah, good. Alrighty, so let's move on to attributes. And attributes allow us to make very powerful applications with HTML, such as maybe making an image bigger or editing a link and stuff like that. So I want to touch on like three attributes. One is a link to a web page. So let me remove this. Let me emphasize that we're working on attributes, HTML. Oh, and if you wanted more in-depth, I might as well plug this in if I have the chance. If you want a more in-depth sort of video on all these concepts, I know I'm sort of breezing through them simply because they're just simply just tags. You don't really need to memorize them. You just need like a cheat sheet and then just know how to apply them to a web page. It's really just knowing tags, and with knowing tags, it makes it very powerful. So I search up my full name. I think my full name is like written right here, something on the Zoom call, and you'll find my YouTube channel. And I have like an HTML playlist there that has like, I think like 1 hour or 2 hours of content of HTML. So yeah, if you do have the opportunity to look through that, or if you want more in-depth videos on these concepts, then yeah, you could look through them in your free time. Alrighty, attributes in HTML. Alrighty, let's remove that. And I completely forgot my end tag for body. There you go. And this is pretty big simply because I just zoomed in. This is at 100%. This is at 250%. To get a link into HTML, we use this thing called the image HTML tag. It's simply just IMG. It's not image, but it's IMG. And we do href. It's not source, it's href, because source is something else. Actually, no, I'm stupid. It is source. Href is for links. So yeah, completely forgot that. Anyway, I do get those two mixed up all the time. But yeah, if you want to input an image, you need to do image source, and then we're gonna set that equal to, and then I'm gonna put 2 quotation marks. And the reason why I'm doing that right now is because I don't really have an image within my folder. So I don't know what I'm gonna search up. Let's see, Thanos smiling. Alrighty, I'm gonna save this image as, and then I'm gonna save it inside my. Actually, let me find that. I'm gonna find that. Where is it? Oh, I'm in the wrong folder. Make sure to save the image within the same folder that you saved your HTML file in. So web dev workshop, and then I'm gonna name it Thanos dot JPEG. Was it JPEG or .jpg? Whatever. Save. Alrighty. Hopefully that was the correct title. That would be embarrassing if it wasn't. Thanos.jpg. Hopefully that is the name. If it's not the name, then I might have to look at it again. So I'm going to save that, and then I'm going to put it, and whoa there. We have his forehead, and then if we zoom in here, it's a pretty big picture. I mean, I do have on like 250%. So let's move it to 100%. So even with 100%, which is normally at like what most browsers use, it's still a pretty big picture. And well, it's not really ideal to have a picture like this in a web page. I mean, not the picture itself, but like a picture this enormous. I mean, Thanos does, desire a picture as big as this, but not everyone does. So what we do is that we put more attributes inside our HTML tag, and that is these attributes allow us to edit the size. So let's say if I want to edit the width, and then I'm going to do width is equal to quotation marks, and then just specify the number of, I believe, pixels. So it's going to be 700. And since I want to keep this as a square, I'm most likely going to keep the height, which is another attribute. And I'm going to set that equal to 700 in quotation marks. And boom, it makes it smaller. I should have made it a little bit bigger, actually. So let me make it 800. There you go. That's much better looking. So yeah, that's how you add an image through HTML attributes into your web page. I know it's not ideal as it would be, but yeah, you can choose the width, you can choose the height, and then you have to be careful with where you locate your picture, because I don't know if I don't know if I want to touch on this right now, but like if you put it on, let's say, the same file, you have to make sure that's in the HTML file here. This document can access it, and the best way that it can access it if it's in the same folder, because it's like right there. Whereas if you put in like a different one, it doesn't know where to go and find that picture, and then you have to put in your code how to find that picture, and it's just a very messy process. So the easiest way is to keep the picture in the same folder, the same exact folder, not like an above folder or a super folder or subfolder, in the same folder as well the file that HTML file that you have. Alrighty, bye-bye Thanos. So now let's work with links. So how do we create a link? Well, we use the AA tag, and then it creates the end tag for us. So it's A, and then our end tag A. And then we use a attribute called the href attribute, and that links us to another web page. And let's say Wikipedia. I don't know what's popular with Wikipedia. Actually, there are some websites that don't even allow you to link it to this. You have to be careful with this. All right, let's use this, and then Command C, and then that is going to be our link. All right. So the way that we create a link is href, right? Because I accidentally made that mistake when I was creating the image. Href is for links. src is for images. So href is equal to quotation marks, and then in those quotation marks you put the link. And then once you put the link in between the brackets, so in between this tag and this tag, you're going to put in your text. So this is a link to a random Wikipedia article. All right, save that, and then I'm going to go back to my file. And as you can see, it has changed the color of my paragraph, or rather text, on the field. And the reason why is because it's the compiler, or rather the Chrome browser, instinctively knows from our HTML tag that this is not a regular paragraph tag. This is in fact a link tag, and this link tag is going to link us to another page, and we do have the link for that. And when we press that, it will link us to that page. We can be moved on from that page, or we can open it in another tab. It does that. That's not really dependent on the HTML code. That's dependent on the browser. So yeah, that's how we use attributes to create a link, or to create a link onto our web page. And this is all done through HTML. And there's also another attribute thing. I don't know if it's that important. It's pretty simple. Let me put P paragraph tags. And it's basically when you like go or hover over some text, and then it shows some like mini hidden text behind it. So let's say title is equal to this. You don't have to know this. It's not really that important. This is some hidden text. So when we save that, hello world. So it displays hello world, but then when we hover over it, it should say this is some hidden text. I don't know if it's doing it right now, but yeah, anyway, that is how we use attributes with the paragraph tag. Anyway, should I cover iframes? All right, I'll cover iframes because it's very interesting how iframes work. So if you want to get like another web page or another website within your website, you could do that through iframes. And what it does, it's not created by Apple. It's not, doesn't have the I thing there, but iframes allow you to create basically a virtual box inside your web page. And then in that web box, it displays practically another website. And you could even access that website and, you know, go through the website through that, you know, link, or sorry, that box. So the way that we create an iframe is through, you guessed it, the iframe tag. Alrighty, and the iframe tag is going to have a src link because it's practically a a link to another tab. I mean, you can actually set it up so that it can go to another link. But anyway, src is equal to, where do we want to point this? I'll point it to the same article that we had before. Let's save that. And boom, we get this very congested sort of looking Wikipedia article. It's basically running that web page within your web page, which is really cool and very powerful. But it's not practical to have something like this inside your web page because it's very congested, and no user is probably going to use this unless they're very desperate. So in that case, just like the image tag, we use a height and width attribute. So width, we're going to set that equal to maybe 500 pixels. And then with height, we're going to do the same thing, maybe 500 pixels. Alrighty. And boom, it makes the tab much more bigger. I put 700 pixels, that explains it why. But anyway, yeah, this is much more ideal when you would want to have an iframe within your web page. And let's say if you want this iframe to be used for a bunch of websites, not just this Wikipedia article, well, we can do that too. It's a little bit tricky, but I think you'll get it. So we have to create a link or another tag, a paragraph tag. And then when someone clicks on that paragraph tag, we want it to change into this sort of link or whatever. So let's do a href. So that's going to be our link. And then we're going to put the link. And what other article could there be? Let's use this article. And we do that, and then we save that there. Hopefully this will work. I haven't really tried this much, but yeah, that will work. Anyway, we close that, and then it closes this entire tab and gives us the respective end tag as well. But now how does it know that we want to change the iframe here? Well, we need to first designate this iframe as something so that the other tags know like what iframe to access. So we give this iframe a name attribute. So we're going to do name is equal to, we're going to do my frame, just to keep things simple, my frame. And then the way that we access this, link through the iframe is by setting a target. So we use the target attribute. In this target attribute, I spelled target wrong, that's nice. And then we set that as the name of the iframe. And boom. So then we're going to be like, all right, click this link for another surprise.
So is an iframe just another way to like insert an image, like just say iframe and then insert an image or a link?
I wouldn't say it would. I mean, you can use it for an image actually, if assuming that the other web page is an image itself. Yeah, you can use it for images. There's no problem with it. You would more likely, if you are going to put an image, you're more likely to use the A tag. But for this purpose, it's more for putting a web page. So if I want to put, I know for like when I did a blog a couple years ago, what I did was I put like Google Translate on here just for the hell of it, and basically I had Google Translate on my website somehow. So yeah, that is just another way of getting another web page, probably not even yours, into your website, and they still get the view. It's still, you know, hey, we're accessing this website, but it's you're putting it on your web page, so you're able to access it through your web page. It's basically it's running its own like virtual thing on your website, and it's very simple to run. Rather than creating its own virtual machine, you're simply using one line of code to say, hey, I want you to access this code within this web page. So yeah, that's what mainly iframes are for. Anyway, let's see if this works. So yeah. So what it does, assuming that I correctly said or correctly wrote my frame, when I click this link for another surprise, I'm hoping that there's going to be another surprise besides this flycatcher. And lo and behold, we get the COVID-19 pandemic by country and territory. So yeah, that's just a cool way of manipulating iframes. I don't know if you're going to use it that much if you're considering freelancing, or if you just want to get the rudimentary down. But yeah, that is a component of, that's how powerful attributes can ultimately get with HTML tags. Alrighty. Before we wrap up this workshop, I want to cover ordered, unordered, and ordered lists. This is something that you probably are going to use in an HTML website rather than, this type of iframe framework or whatever, HTML tag. So let me erase this and let me start off with unordered lists. There you go. Yeah, so let me save this so that make sure that everything is removed. Yeah, all right, so we're doing unordered lists, and the way that we say an unordered list is we use the ul HTML tag. Sorry, just blanked out a second. HTML tag, and you just remember this by saying, hey, I want an unordered list, unordered ul, unordered list. Alrighty, and then for an unordered list, you're going to have a bunch of items in that list. So those items are called list items. So using the same logic that you use for unordered list, ul, then list items should be li, which it is, li. And then li is just going to include whatever we want in our list. And we create an li for every consecutive thing on our list. So assume that we're creating a shopping list, h3, and then I'm going to put a shopping list. And then in a shopping list, I'm probably going to have some milk, maybe some, what else do you get from the shop? Eggs. Just simply copy and paste. Eggs, bread. And just final one is maybe some peanut butter. Okay. Alrighty, so let's save and see how our unordered list will look like. And you'll see why it's called an unordered list. There you go. So we have our H3 tag, H3 header shopping list. And then with we have our unordered list with our list items, and they display it in a bullet form. So there's no like sort of sorting. So when you sort something, what do you want to sort it by? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, the Roman numerals, stuff like that. That's what you call an ordered list. Unordered list, it just doesn't really matter. Think of it as just simply bullet points. And we can change these bullet points so that they're more different, or we have a different style. And just to quickly do the list styles, we can simply do list dash style dash type. Oh yeah, by the way, I completely forgot. Its style is equal to, there you go. Style is equal to list dot type dot dash type colon, and then whatever we want. So right now, I think we're using disk. yeah, it will come up as the same because it is a disk. But let's say if we don't want a disk, we want a square. Well, we have that option and it creates a square. I don't know if you noticed that, but like, let me zoom in. So yeah, that is a square now instead of a disk. And there's also a circle. And we have that circle. It's different than a disk because there's no dark text in it. So yeah, that's how you do a unordered list. And then finally for our workshop, we're gonna end with ordered list. And ordered list, you probably want to expect some type of, well, order. So let me erase this. Let me do this. And what type of thing is ordered? I don't know, favorite. Actually, let me put a H3 tag, and then let's say favorite people from the MCU. And then the way that we say that we want an ordered list is kind of the same as an unordered list, except there's one letter change. So with an unordered list, it's UL. With an ordered list, it's OL. So OL. Alrighty. And then just like with unordered list, we're going to simply use the LI, the list item tag, to say, hey, we want these different lists, these different items. And obviously, my favorite person from the MCU is Thanos. And then it could, I don't know, I'm just going to simply put Captain America, whatever. I'm simply just putting this for placeholders or whatever. They're not really my favorite, except Thanos. Thanos was my favorite. There you go. We save it, and this is our list. It's an ordered list because, well, we're ordering it based on some numerical value. So 1, 2, 3, favorite people is our title, and well, this is our list. And we don't have to be simply confined to just numbers. We can be given different types of ways of ordering it. So we have to use the style attribute, and instead of saying, hey, I want to change the style of the list, or let's change the style of the whatever the bullet point, we're going to change the style of sorry, not the style, the start of every single one of these values. So right now it's on 1. So if I put 1, I don't think it's going to change. Yeah, so it's not going to change. But if I put, let's say, 420, right? I know that's a number that you guys like. It's going to start off with 420, 421, 422. And now I'm going to move on to, you simply not confined to numbers. You can also use other things such as letters and Roman numerals. So if you want to use a Roman numeral, then, well, we do, I believe it's type. Just way too many attributes. That's why you shouldn't really memorize them. You should just simply usually have a cheat sheet with you, and that's all you need to practice the application. So yeah, type is equal to A, and that's going to label it ABC. There you go, ABC. We can also do lowercase. ABC, and we could do both types of Roman numerals. There you go, both types of Roman numerals. Now we're not confined to, well, just a list in general. We can put a list within a list. I forgot to change the type. There you go. We're not confined to simply using we're not confined to simply using just one list. We can put a list in a list, sort of like an outline. And to do that, well, we are just going to use the logic that we're creating a list within a list. And we put that within the LI tags. So if you want to say reasons for why, Thanos is your favorite character, then you put that inside the list. LI, he won. LI, he wants balance. And then when you execute this sort of code or this script, it's gonna give us actually, let me change the type. So with Roman numerals, you might have a uppercase I or an uppercase Roman numeral for when you're starting off or giving sections. But if you want to put a list inside a list, then you might want to change the type. So I'm going to change the type into a lowercase I. Alrighty. And there you go. We have favorite people from the MCU. We have our ordered list, and then we have our list item within our ordered list. And that pretty much wraps up our workshop for today. I wanted to cover tables and forms, but I guess we'll do that in a later workshop. And hopefully we'll start with CSS with the next, I'm hoping to start CSS in the next week. That allows us to get some color, allows us to get some graphics into our sort of boring looking web page. And then that's when our web pages are going to start looking more beautiful or more, let's say, website-like, such as the websites you might be using, such as Reddit or the news websites, CNN, stuff like that. So yeah, this is pretty much the end of the workshop. If you want to stay and ask me questions or whatnot, you can chill. I'm going to be on here for another like 5 minutes, hopefully. But yeah.
Have a great night. Thank you.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
Oh, hey, I came in a bit late at 8:14. Can you tell me when you went over before that?
I'll have the recording posted, but
Oh.